Hi, it's Xavier. I'm a year old today, so wish me happy birthday. And while we're enjoying this great day, let's do a bit of work on my signature tree. I think the old man needs a new pot, don't you? Hi, it's Xavier, and it's the 22nd, literally a year to the day that I first started doing YouTube. But my larch here, it started with me in 2002 as a 2-year-old sapling along with 20 of its mates. And that's what we've got now. Now I'm sure we all know Mr. Mudman, and I've promised you he's going to be quiet and he's not going to be abusive. In fact, we're going to put him to one side for now because he's so excited about getting a new home. This is now 23 years, no, it'll be 20, this will be 25 years old now. Half my age and a bit. So what we're going to do, it's been in this pot now for 3 years. It flashed up on my reminder list for my database where I've got about, say, 40 or 50 repots, and this was one of them. And I asked Dawn Isaac if she would make me a special pot that's based on the original pot that you actually see on the intro title as we listen to the Ride of the Valkyries. So we're going to take this out. Now I know with this one that the roots have actually been folded under and are going this way, so they're not designed in a radial pattern. When I did this, it was long before I actually discovered any skill, so that would have been last week sometime, I'd imagine. The rock's just sitting on top of the roots. We'll wait and see how healthy it is. Lots of new growth and buds up here. I'm going to keep the potting angle the same, but yeah, we're just going to update it for 2023. Okay, well the weeds aren't out, but I certainly thought, I've talked about this Dawn Isaac ceramic, this pot, and you haven't seen it yet. So this is it. It's almost like a loaf of bread, burnished glazing on it. It's already got the securing stuff in it and got some lovely holes in it. I do remember Dawn when she first used to do her pots, her first ever pot she did for me, I think the holes were like, well, I think they were bigger than a marmite pot, and I'm sure she won't mind me joking about that. She makes fantastic stuff. Anyway, so that's going to be the pot that it's going in, which is back to, say, more like the original. We're going to have a mixture of light again because the clouds are coming in and out. So let's get to work, shall we? So let's just get this out. There's no wire securing it in, and that's mainly because this great big heavy rock. So let's see how easily this comes out. I'd suggest the words very easily. Let's have a look and see what's under there. We've got some windy roots, but not the biggest. And as I say, this is an older tree now. 2 years ago it was a little bit ill, so it's another reason why I would repot this. Larches normally 1 to 2 years, very vigorous on the roots. So it's certainly due. I'll keep him there watching. He can tell me if I'm doing anything wrong, can't he? Oh, and if anyone's interested, I've changed the thumbprint or the thumbnail on my videos. I'm trying to get a little bit more ordered or disciplined. I was Navy. And you may have noticed that the bird no longer appears. And some of you actually asked why I actually had the bird, and the reason is as you well know, I've got a load of rowdy, noisy birds in my garden, and they used to spend all their time coming up, watching me, and they would literally be at my feet while I was doing stuff. So when I was first playing with Canva and looking for different ways of filling up that massive thumbnail, I suddenly thought, well, do you know what, we need to have a bird in there, because that's been part of my potting area. But anyway, up here, although I can still hear the birds, they're certainly not watching me, and so Mr. Bird has retired south. Mr. Mudman, of course, is always there to keep me in check. Just teasing out this a bit. I might just move you. I get a feeling I'll break you. It's funny, when I first started this, Obviously you'll be well aware that if you've watched my videos, you know that my wife died, well now it's 3 years ago. You know, my mother and father within a year of each other of that, so certainly over the last sort of 3 or 4 years there's been quite a number of close family members that have checked out, and I was a carer for all of them. And you know, the first success out of this was this helped bring me out of the depression that had formed as a result of that. It's also helped me to find new friends. Well, they say they're friends anyway. So all I'll say to you is through the medium of YouTube, this has been absolutely brilliant in helping me get through that difficult period. So thank you. Okay, looks like we're going to get that summer divide. So hopefully that's not going to ruin this too much. We've got these great big long stragglers here that we're wrapping around the pot, so we'll cut them. Same gone. We've got stuff coming up here. We'll get rid of them. And what I do want is to try and form a nice radial base around now. So slowly, I'm not going to separate the rock. It's actually quite attached to it, which is good. We've got this curly whirly up here. Let's get rid of that. And I'm quite happy to have the spreader roots coming around it, because what I'd like to do eventually is actually lift this higher up in the pot, and hopefully all those roots will form a matted bank. So slowly you're going to have the rock and then a whole mat of roots and then the soil. So that's my intention longer term. Great big one here. Might just thread it in there. Okay, so we've got this big kick here. Haven't yet decided. We've got some stuff up here. Okay, so this kick here, haven't got a lot on the back. I think we've got something going under there. I quite like having that, but what we'll do is we'll just shorten him in. Okay, now I just want to find out, there's got this one here, and I just want to find out what's happening with that. So securely taking, you can see the rock, there's, yeah, just give that a gentle tug. There we go. Okay. Now this is going to come up quite tightly against the back, so I do want to have some roots coming up here. Okay. Now the good thing about this is such an old tree that I don't actually need to go to town with the roots. The roots are pretty formed how they are. As I say, I want to try and create a better radial pad on it so that I can lift it up out of the pot. But for now, I'm happy with that. So what we need to do now is to get it into the pot, don't we? So let's clear up this. I'll bring the pot over and then we'll do that bit. Okay, so we're back with the pot. It's already got the wires and that ready. Again, if you want to see how to do securing wires, you either go back to one of my early basic bonsai videos, or I think it's hopefully fairly self-explanatory. Crisscross underneath. There you go. And I use a common fencing steel, and it was a recommendation from Ryan Neal. Well, he didn't recommend it to me personally, but he talked about it in one of his videos. Okay, so we need to get a bottom layer in there first. Layer down there. Now I know that ideally you put a layer of bigger particles at the bottom, and then you put slightly smaller ones as you go up, and it's all about aiding. So it's all about the drainage and helping with all that sort of stuff. But I haven't got that many sieves and I haven't got that much space, and I haven't noticed it make a difference with the level of bonsai that I'm at. And you know, I consider myself an enthusiast, and I think actually it's a point I'll bring out now. Sometimes, oh, should we lift this one over? Okay. Sometimes Hang on, let me just secure this. Just want to spread a little bit of roots out. Just want to bank it up a bit. Okay. Before we go any further, right, so one thing I was going to talk about is I'm experimenting with the Oceana different products with their pellet feed, and also this activated, I think it's an activated charcoal or something like that. It's supposed to be really, really good for roots. And what you do is you mix it in part with your soil, which I forgot to do. So I'm just going to mix some of that in there. And apparently it's supposed to have really, really good effects on root development. So I'm going to try that. You'll notice I'm going to put a few pictures up in a minute, but I've had loads of let's just get this. Yeah, I think there's often a feeling that, you know, because we're doing YouTube videos, we can feel like, you know, we know everything and, you know, our techniques are right and you should be listening to us. Well, the truth is, you know, it's quite humbling when you see some of the comments you get and you see some of the video and pictures of collections that everyone else has got. I mean, when I say everyone else, I mean from the subscribers and stuff. And I've got a selection that I'm going to show you there in a sec. They've got really nice collections, and you know, you see some individual trees and it's clear that, you know, the bonsai skills among a lot of subscribers is well superior to my own. And I just wanted to reinforce, I know I'm not ever trying to pretend to be anything more than you see. I'm no different than the majority who are just enjoying a hobby. So if ever you feel like, you know, I stress on about, you know, when I do wiring, bending and rotating, and a lot of the time I'm mirroring what I'm learning from the likes of Ryan Neal. And certainly if you don't do it, that doesn't make you bad at what you're doing. So I want to try, go across there, secure it down that way. Okay. Yeah, so I did want to say that, because sometimes I just think, I'd hate to think that people thought there was sort of an arrogance about us that makes us think, say us, that, you know, we know everything. I mean, we don't. Okay, so let's get this secured down. And believe it or not, this is the first time I've actually used wire to ever secure this tree down. Normally I've just used the weight of that rock. Okay, so positioning wise, I'm actually quite happy where it is. We'll put it in. Now, as I say, we've got the activated charcoal in there from Oceana, and I first heard of that through Harry Harrington, and he's got a video on that. I think I mentioned it last year. You just sprinkle it into your potting medium, and I meant to actually mix it in with the potting medium before, and you're getting some sort of fertilizing going on straight away, because normally after I repot a tree I wait 2 to 3 weeks before I'll put any fertilizer on it. But it's like a slow acting stuff, and the same with the pellets, which I'll put on in a minute. Right, okay, well these are getting damp while I'm yapping, so let's get some soil on here. And as I say, intention is to raise up higher in another couple of years. Yeah, so I just want to thank those subscribers. And what have I got now? I think I've actually, thanks to the great effort of Tony in a recent collaboration, you know, I've had a lovely spike in subscribers, and I think I'm just under 1.2 or 1.2k, which, you know, I'm really, really ecstatic about that. There's over 1,000 people who pretend to enjoy what I'm doing. Again, you know what I'm doing here, just making sure there's no air pockets, using one of Tony's brilliant oak chopsticks. Yeah, in fact, I've got a notification from vidIQ that said I've passed 100,000 views, and you know, go back a year, I'd never thought that would have happened. How many videos have I done? In fact, this one will probably be video number 140. 140 videos. Scary. And I'm lucky, I'll say straight away, I'm lucky. Because I had to retire from my work 5 or 6 years ago to take up caring, I've never had to go, well, I've never gone back that way. And thankfully, because of my children, I won't have to. So I can do this full time, which is what I love doing, and I'm really, really blessed to be able to do that. But now I'm blessed to be able to share it with people who've got a like interest. Okay, so there's the tree. Lovely, lovely. Look at the gnarly bark here. Really, really gnarly. And as I say, the thing you do is, you know it's the right time because you probably can't see it too well, but I noticed that the buds are just starting to swell. The only trouble I hate with larch is that some years they go through a cycle of producing lots and lots of cones. Cones sap the energy, but also you don't get any ramification when you get cones. And I don't know whether it's an indication of that perhaps the tree's not as healthy. So that year it puts out more cones because in its head it's thinking I've got to produce more offspring to replace the fact that I'm dying. And it could be that. So hopefully the Repot will have something about that. But if anyone knows that about, you know, when you get additional cones on larches, whether that's the reason. And the Oceana pellets, they're like a green there. I think they've got kelp and seaweed in, and kelp is seaweed, isn't it? Yeah. Various nice things. They look like rabbit feed. Our rabbits used to eat and stuff like this. I bet it's the birds like it. And the other main reason I did it was because it's substantially cheaper than biogold. I'm going to water that in, and then we'll come back and do a little bit of pruning. While I go watering, why don't you watch a couple of these videos from some of the subscribers, and there's a few still photographs, just to show you what else is going on out in the world of bonsai. Okay, it's had a good bit of water. Hopefully you enjoyed the contributions from our subscribers. I certainly appreciate them being sent in, and if anyone else wants to send in pictures of their bonsai or little short videos, you can do it on my Gmail, expressionsbonsai@gmail.com, and trust me, I love getting them. Anyway, it's all watered in. My mudman isn't quite ready for it, but should we give it a spin now before I prune up? It won't look very much different from when I prune it, to be honest, but there she is, a 22-year-old man. Beautiful pot, absolutely incredible pot. And to be fair, the repot has gone a lot better than I hoped. So all I'm going to do now is, with this one, I'm just going to be pruning back to the bud pairs that I actually want. So back to 1 or 2, removing 3s, all the usual rules. So I'll bring you close in for that. You probably don't need to hear me chat. And there, just so you know, what I've done is taken off stubs, and on there I've got 1 bud, 2 buds going out. Looking back here, that's going to be ugly. Well, it is ugly. It's also very coarse, but that little thing there is going to be a cone. So I don't want that at all, and there's nothing else growing from there, so let's get rid of it. And then from here, we've got 2 coming from the end, 1 there, and often there'll be another one in there. I'll leave the 2 end to grow out. That's going to be a cone. We've got 2 buds here. I don't want the cone, so we'll cut that off. At the moment, it may mean that I'll be wiring this at a later stage, but here, 2 buds. See here again, all I'm doing is looking lots of little buds there. I want to keep it very tight, but I'm also now looking to, it's an older tree, so I'm also looking to take it further back. You know, it's not the best. I mean, we've got a junction here, although there's a bit of spacing there, but it's almost 4 from one point. Although, yeah, no, I'm happy with that. But I want to try and the next growth is I can wire separation to these pads. I'm now going to continue to work my way around, right around this, clear it all up. Actually, while we're an ideal example of rebuilding, I want to bring it in tighter and then regrow fresh, less coarse growth. Now, this here has got 2 buds here. They're both going to be cones. The only viable one is coming from here, where I've got 2 buds and a bud there. But if you look how far out from the tree, there's all this coarse growth, whereas I have actually got an option to go all the way back to here. There's lovely new buds fresh in there, a lot closer in, and some people say, no, I like this, keep it. But at the moment, that's going to be dead. There's nothing coming off here. That'll be the first point where I get anything. So that's what I'll do, and I'm going to basically be rebuilding in that sort of manner. Again, here, that's actually not going to be a bud, that's just going to be a cone. So let's clean that right out. And sometimes with our older stuff, that's what we need to do, especially with larch. You need to clear them up and get rid of all the coarse stuff. Anyway, now I'll let you go. Okay, so it's all pruned up. I had to go a little bit harder in some areas. As I say, this one had a lot of developing cones, which is absolutely no good for what I want. So it may be that in some areas there's going to be a really big redesign, but I won't know that until I see this first set of shoots coming out, and I will be revisiting this sometime in, I don't know, mid-May, end of May, where I'll start the first of the 3 pruning cycles, which, again, if you look at my larch series, you'll see exactly how to get the best out of your larch and how to try and get yourself 3 growth spurts in one season. We'll give this a spin. Mudman's back and he looks very happy. I'm very, very happy. I'd love to put moss on this, but the birds are just laughing at me. So we won't bother with that. So that's my my signature tree. Dawn, thank you very much. Absolutely brilliant pot, love it. Looks fantastic, worth every penny. Okay, so I just thought to finish this off. Say it's 1 year now. Really happy with that. As I say, I've got 139 videos, and it's down to you people that I've got that many. Some of you probably wish I didn't, but I've picked at 2, and I want to know if you can tell me why. My most popular video is pruning a dawn redwood. Did it very, very early on. It's got 4,000 views on it, which for me is fantastic, so thank you. But I want to know what made that so popular, or why you think that was a popular video. Because then following on that, I want to know why this next video is so unpopular. Yeah, and it was called Pruning My Elaeagnus or My Silverberry, and it was this tree. I think it's got 112 views. It's an absolutely brilliant video, and if you're doing evergreen with certainly garden material that you can get, Silverberry, Elaeagnus, it's definitely worth watching. But please, I challenge you, you go and have a look at that video and you tell me why it didn't make it, what was wrong with it, or what was the problem. So what's going to happen with this? Well, you're going to see soon, but now is the time to do a complete defoliation, get rid of all of last year's growth, and that will encourage a smaller flush much later in the May, early June, because the evergreens, their cycle's just a little bit later on than our deciduous. But also, this one is due to be repotted, I think, at that angle. So, I don't know what the roots are like in there. I don't know how difficult it's going to be, but we're going to be trying that. So, go on, tell me, why has that only got 118 views? I suppose the final thing is a big thank you again to everybody. I hope this episode, bit of a mixture, isn't too boring. Hopefully Mr. Mudman won't be so abusive to people in 2023, although I'm sure he'll be abusive to me. Please let me know what you think I could be doing just a bit better, a bit differently, or is there some stuff that you'd like me to cover? I mean, there's so many great creators out there that are already covering all sorts of stuff. Are there any collaborations perhaps that you've got ideas that you might like to see happen? Because that's the bit I love most, collaborations. And finally, if you have a look on my channel page, you'll see at the bottom I've got the list of UK bonsai creators, UK bonsai channels, and I'm sort of holding it at about 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000. I mean, but if you know of any UK creators who are just starting off, or you haven't seen on that list, let me know, because I want to get them added to the list. So somewhere we've actually got an easy way of finding all our UK creators. I know Harry Harrington's not on there, but some of the bigger ones I've left off, and Grow Bonsai, because everyone knows about them, herons and stuff like that. But it's the smaller ones, and there's been quite a few that I've added recently. So if you haven't seen that, have a quick look in my channels list. And what I will also be doing is creating a playlist from that of what I consider their best video. So again, there'll be a UK bonsai creators playlist, which hopefully will come up in search. But I've blabbed on far too long. The only thing I'm going to do for anyone who's interested is I'm going to show you a little highlight of the first ever introduction I recorded, and I actually cut it from the first ever video because it was so terrible. And please, I challenge anyone to tell me whether they think I'm wearing makeup, because it looks like I've got lipstick on. Maybe I did have, I don't know what I was like back then. Anyway, it's getting dark, going to rain, and I want to go and have some lunch. So thank you ever so much for all your support. I'm going to keep on going, unfortunately. So from Xavier in the patio, with a very, very happy Mudman, aren't you? I'm going to say cheers, happy bonsaiing, God bless. G'day. Oh, no, I don't think Darren would be too happy if I used that opening. I may well have been brought up in Australia, in Melbourne, but I've spent most of my life living in England. So firstly I'll say a warm welcome, well not so warm, from sunny Grantham, Expressions of Grace Bonsai. My intention is to share my life experiences and truthfully to explain how bonsai, I suppose without being too dramatic, saved my life. It was in 2001 that a friend of mine had me over for a barbie in his backyard, and he had a load of trees. Up to that point, anything that was green I killed. So, surprise, surprise, came back with 20 larch whips. That evening, Paul popped by and proceeded to use